Hey friends, I'm Kat. Welcome to the channel and today's video where we are going to be ranking drugstore blushes. And I'm just going to be telling you which ones are actually worth your time and which ones 100% to avoid, save your money, do not buy at all costs. So I think I have about 16 formulas to go over, all of them currently available. I tried to make sure that we have things that you actually can buy. You know, some of them you should not, but they're still available if you want to. And very much just went through my collection and found the ones that I think could be most relevant for this video, aka I guess just at the drugstore. So didn't purposely buy anything for this video. These are entirely just things I happen to have in my collection and have collected over the years or I got in PR. If I remember, I will mention if I got something in PR or if it's something that I bought with my own money. Quickly, anything from ColourPop I should have received in PR, and I think aside from that, the only other ones are Pacifica. Everything else should have been something that I spent my own money on. And like I said, none of these are things that I bought purposely for this video. So some of the options relatively older, some of them pretty new, but again, like pretty broad range of options for things that are available. And everything I'm sharing today, we will have videos of me applying it and swatches just so you can get a better sense of what these blushes look like on and just kind of how they apply to the skin. Because some of them, I don't know, like some of them, even in these application videos, maybe don't look as bad as I find it, but you might get a better sense of what the formula is actually like and how it sits on makeup. So we're just gonna dive into this now. But before that, my name is Kat. I would love if you would consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. Down below, I'll also have my Instagram linked where I post every day about beauty content or lifestyle, and also my Bookstagram and Booktube channel. So if you're interested in any of those, they are all linked down below. I just did a quick count and we actually have 15 different categories, and let's just get into this. So in 15th spot, we have the Cheeky blushes from Maybelline. These originally I was very excited when they came out because I personally love a liquid blush, and at the time I don't think there were as many liquid blushes at the drugstore, and also not as many that have this like gel-like consistency. I find that that's a little bit more unique for this one, like a little stranger, because these ones are ones that they're kind of sheer and like this gel consistency. I don't find it's quite similar to any of the other brushes I own. I honestly would say this almost gives like lip gloss consistency, like very different, very weird, kind of wet. And that's part of the issue I find with this one, is that it doesn't actually dry down on the skin. So every single time I've used it, it stays this kind of sticky gel consistency, and it either just stays like that on the skin or very quickly fades away, which is also another issue. And while this is like giving some pigment in the swatch, there's a very significant amount of product here. I find typically when we actually blend it out, it gives more like this, which is very sheer, and then you do have to build this up, and it is not a buildable formula. It just sits on top of each other and just ends up being thicker and just really unpleasant on the skin. Does not wear well on top of each other, just keeps giving you like that layer of thick lip gloss feeling. So I genuinely hate these. I tried to pan this one at one point and just lost my mind trying to use it. This is the shade Coral Ember, and then I have Rose Brulee. This one's slightly better. I mean, I like this shade a little bit more, but just genuinely like very miserable to use. And I think that these have been kind of terrible. In spot number 14, I have the blush stick from ColourPop. And first off, just this packaging terrible. All this lettering has started to wear off, and I haven't even used this really that often. I've used it a decent amount, but like nowhere near enough to really justify how much this has worn off. This is a consistent issue I have across ColourPop blushes and just ColourPop products in general, because I find their lip glosses do the same thing. I don't have a shade on this one, but it was from a collab with Snitchery a few years ago. And I know there's quite a few others that are available on the site. This just happens to be the only one I have. And in general, I do think that this is a very pretty brush. Very pretty. The shade is gorgeous. It's metallic. All of those are things that I really like. But this is one that you cannot wear on top of makeup. It takes off literally every single thing that is underneath it, and it is nowhere near like spreadable enough to actually be able to work into your skin and give something nice. I find it just like it removes everything and it does not blend. No part of it blends. It always just ends up being like whatever line I put into it, it just kind of stays thick like that across my face. And I really wish I liked these, because in theory, like a stick blush seems like something that would be so convenient to use and, you know, just so quick and easy most days. But this one unfortunately just really doesn't do it. I don't know. One thing I haven't tried is like warming it up on my finger finger and then applying it like directly from my finger instead of from the stick. That might improve it, but I also don't want to do that. If it's in a stick, I want to be able to just apply it directly to my face. I don't want to have to go through that extra step. So unfortunately, this is one I don't like. And I do have a few highlighters that are in the stick formula as well. And I kind of have the same issue where I do find it just kind of removes any makeup that's underneath and doesn't really give the effect that I'm necessarily hoping for. So this, number 14, I don't think worth it. In the number 13 position, we have the e.l.f. Halo Glow, and this is a Beauty Wand blush in the shade Pink Me Up. And my primary issue with this is the insane metallicness of it. And yes, it is Halo Glow. It is meant to be glowy and very blushy, but this straight up just looks like metallic. And I don't even know if the camera is necessarily picking it up as bad as I find it, but I feel like this, it just looks like I applied like metallic eyeshadow all over it. It's way too pigmented, and it might be an issue with the shade. Maybe if I had something a little lighter, wouldn't necessarily be this bad. But I'm also someone, I love a glowy blush. I wear glowy blushes literally all the time, and I don't really have this issue often where it's just gleaming and blinding and really looks like I just coated myself in highlighter. And yeah, that's the main issue I have with this one. It's way too much. And I wish I like this more, but every single time I put it on, I just immediately regret it. I find it just glaringly obvious I'm wearing a crazy pigmented blush. I'm also somebody, I love blush. I love dark blushes. I love bright blushes, and it's way too much. Something about the formula doesn't really work. Again, not super blendable either. Like, you can't really shear this down that much. Already dry, pretty much. Like, so it's really, oh, did I just wipe off most? I don't know, but it's really not something I find workable or user-friendly either. So unfortunately, like, really don't think this one is that great. In number 12, I have these from Profusion. They're relatively new in my collection, and they're Blush Hour, the soft matte liquid blushes, and I have the shade Rosé and Sangria. And I'm gonna say the main issue for these ones is this applicator. So first off, it's weird. It like does not go deep enough into this tube at all. So I do anticipate that you're gonna have a very big issue as you use this up about how you're going to get blush onto this applicator. The formula itself seems pretty thick, so I don't think it's really something that's like liquidy enough to like keep upside down and just have the blush flow out. So that's one thing that I'm like really confused about. And then this applicator itself is terrible. So it's more of a spongy kind of applicator, but again, I mean, lip swatch looks beautiful, but I have found that every single time I put this on, it takes up every bit of makeup I have underneath, and then just ends up making my face look like a bit of a mess. Really pretty shade, like everything about it looks gorgeous. It does not seem practical, and something about the way this packaging is, it does not make sense. And I'll show you too with the other one in the shade Sangria, like exact same issue, and this one's even deeper down. Like I don't understand how this is eventually supposed to pick up all the blush down there. Like that does not make sense for me, and this applicator is just terrible. I was really hoping to like these because like the shades are gorgeous. Sangria is a really nice like deep pigmented shade that would be really pretty for winter, and I always am looking for good drugstore options, so I was super excited when I found these because they're pretty cheap. I'm very disappointed, unfortunately. Now I think we're at 11. And I have the fluffy blushes from Pacifica. So these ones were in PR. And overall, I like these. They're more of a kind of metallic, well, not really metallic, kind of creamy, kind of like shimmery metallic kind of blush. And the packaging, like pretty basic, pretty easy. I do find it's very hard in the pan, so you do have to spend a bit of time warming it up, which is not necessarily an issue. You'll see that for another blush later on in this video. That doesn't really bother me. At the moment, it kind of does because I have longer nails. And overall, I think that, the formula is nice. It doesn't give a lot of pigment. And you do really have to build this up to really get the type of look that I tend to want to go for. But then at the same time, it doesn't necessarily build the nicest. And it's not one that you can really apply that many layers to have that much of an impact. This is like, that's 2 layers. And I do feel like that would just barely show up in my skin. So I am wearing this today, and like you can kind of see it, but I did do like 3 layers of blush, which is a little bit extreme. And this one's also like the medium shade, and it's still that light. So overall, I like it. It is glowy, it's shimmery. Those are all things I like. I think that it could be a bit better. It's one that just kind of doesn't stand out to me. Like, I like using it. I like the shade, but it's not really like anything extravagant, anything that's exciting in my collection, I guess. Number 10, one that is decent, but again, not that spectacular. The Cheeky Kiss Liquid Blush from Milani, or I guess Liquid Blush and Glow. I have the shade 160 Canela, and it's more of like a luminous blush again. So it has one of these little puff applicators. I don't really like these. I find the more you use them, the grosser the applicator kind of gets. every time I use it, it kind of goes everywhere. But this is one, again, just a little bit too metallic. As much as I like a glowy brush, again, I don't really want to look like I'm wearing something crazy metallic all over my cheeks. I don't love this shade either. I think that might be part of the issue, but I do have that issue too. If I don't find this one wears well with makeup, I do find it kind of enhances texture a little on me, and that might just be an issue of how like shiny it is. But I do find like any cheek texture I have is really, really present in this one. It's just not one that I'm ever excited to use, and I do think that the shade is a huge issue for me for this, because I don't think that this shade really looks well with my skin. It doesn't really work well for me. But this is one that, again, it's okay. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but it is not one that I'm ever actually excited to use or want to pick up. Though I guess we're getting more into, we could say the first few were ones I didn't like, then I had liked but not great, and now we're into liked. So this is the Liquid Blush by Milani. So I much prefer this one. Same idea. I don't like the glow one. And this is the Cheek Kiss Liquid Blush. I have the shade 110 Nude Flesh, and I think this is really pretty. Main issue is that it's very liquidy, which I guess not an issue depending on your preferences, but very liquidy, and I find it goes on very, very sheer. It's one, yeah, the more you work it out, the sheerer it goes. And again, you do have to wear like a fair amount of layers for it. Also, I find like, I don't think it's supposed to, but I find that this one, it ends up looking glowy on the skin. So you don't really necessarily need that liquid glow version. Like, I think that this looks just wet and glowy itself. And this is, it's one of the only nude blushes, like straight up brown blushes I have in my collection. So it is kind of a standout for me for that. And I do really enjoy it. I do just find it tends to go on a little patchy, I guess, is kind of how we'll say. Where when it does go on sheer, it does, I find, tend to gather again in my textured areas. And it doesn't always have the most even application on me. Again, like, it's just very clear that I'm wearing blush and that there's a lot of areas there it's not necessarily working. And overall, I like it quite a bit. I think this is a really good blush formula. I think it just doesn't necessarily look the prettiest on my skin, and not necessarily one that I'm always excited to use because of that. So the ColourPop Lip and Cheek Balm, I think we're at number 8. One thing that's really interesting, this was significantly higher up in the list. Like, I mean, I guess lower, it was more like a 12 before I ended up using it the other day again, because it was one that I had to really, really test multiple times, because what was in my mind about this blush is very much different from how I feel. So I definitely needed like many, many wear tests to kind of solidify an answer. And I think in my mind, this was a lot thicker and greasier than I thought it is, or I thought it was much thicker and greasier than it actually is. But these are beautiful. Like, they can be sheared out to give such a nice look, and they're just like a blush balm, which is kind of a weird formula. But I just, in my head, it was just like a thick globby mass, and it is not at all. These are beautiful. These are beautiful, and they give such a gorgeous flush to the cheeks. And I have a lot of shades, so I have, we'll see if I can pick these up at the drop. I have basically the entire range, I think, and they're really, really beautiful. I will say I haven't really used these that much on my lip, so I don't really have a strong opinion on how they work as a lip color, but that's something I need to do in the future for sure. And I do find the range colors to be very, very interesting. We have a lot of pinks, there's some nudes, some like brighter pink. Like, it leans very pinkish, this line, but I think that's very fun. We have some darker shades, some more kind of red. And overall, I think this formula is really, really fantastic. The only thing I'll say, I guess, is that I thought it felt thicker. In my head, I thought it felt thick, but when I did try it again, I think that it feels a little sticky on the cheek. So it doesn't really feel thick, but it does feel a little sticky, and it does end up sinking in. But for the first little bit, it does feel like, it feels like you have makeup on. You can actually feel that on your face, and that is probably my primary issue that I was having, is just that at first, if I can feel it, I get a little weirded out by it. But I do have to say, every single color I've used is ridiculously stunning. And actually, let's try it on the lips right now and see how we feel. So I just wiped off my lip gloss, and the first one I picked up is the shade Baby Bunny, and let's see how we feel. So it does feel more balmy. It's actually very pretty, and like, it doesn't really give that much of a sheen, or that much of like a glowy color, just more of color, no sheen. I think that's really pretty. It feels very nice on the lips too. Like, it honestly doesn't feel like I have anything on. So I really need to go through and try all of these on my lips. I think I'll actually do a reel and try these all on, because if I can find some like new favorite lip shades on that would be amazing. And again, like, there's so many colors. I need to familiarize myself more with what ones are my favorite. But what comes to my mind that I really like, there's Larchmont Village. This is a very nude shade. Again, like I don't have that many nude blushes in my collection, so anytime I do see one, I get very excited. And it's just something that, I don't know, I don't typically wear, but I find can be like very, very fun. And then Lucky You is like a very light pink. I love this one. This is a shade that I do kind of typically wear like day to day. I think that this is probably one of my favorites. And this, It's a Look. So a little more reddy, but still pink. Just more of like a slightly vibrant pink, but still very easy to wear day to day. Really like all of these. Like they are genuinely fantastic. And yeah, have been really, really fun to be playing with in preparation for this video. Number 7, question mark. The ColourPop, what are they called? They're the cream blush. So it's the natural matte finish. And I do have most of the core collection / one from Pokemon. And these are pretty great. I did have the other Pokemon ones, but I gave them to a friend. And this one is very bright red, very fun. And otherwise, again, like we just have like every shade under the sun. And I think that these are really, really nice cream blushes. They apply beautifully on the cheeks. They just like really, really melt in so beautifully. And they're one that just really give a flawless finish. So it's one that when you look at, you like, it really doesn't look like you're wearing an excessive amount of makeup, which is lovely. This shade I love. It's the shade Coyote, very dark, kind of vampy purple. I'm just like randomly showing you all of these. But this is such a fun collection. And again, beautiful, beautiful shades, beautiful formula. This was another one of my favorites. It is Cherry Blossom. So a little bit more of like a vibrant pink. Love it. I do use those all the time because I genuinely think that they look so fantastic on the skin. They're a little drier of a formula. So again, a lot of these cream blushes, you do have to really like work your finger in and warm them up before you can put on the skin. And I just find they look so beautiful. They really, really do. And then because it's not super pigmented too, it just really is buildable and blendable and just looks really, really nice on this. The e.l.f. Putty Blush. I have 2 shades. I have, what are these? So one issue I have with these is that the shades are terrible to find. Bahamas and Bora Bora. So very similar to what I was saying before. This is a dry formula. This one you really do need to work it up because it just feels so dry at first. And then once you move it around and warm it up a little bit, it comes out with like a ridiculously beautiful cream consistency. I just think that this, again, such a stunning blush formula, really sinks into the skin. Like genuinely a lot of the ones that are coming forward from this point on, the reasons I love them are kind of just all the same reason why I just find they look fantastic on the skin. I love the way that they wear, the way that they feel. This is one that not as high because I do find it can wear off a little bit quicker throughout the day. So it's not necessarily the most long lasting, which is the main reason why it's not higher up on the list. And yeah, it just fades a little bit quickly, but when you put it on, it's so pretty. This is one of my favorite shades too. Just I love this light baby pink and such an incredible option. Like for the price, truly unreal. Number 5 is the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blush. So literally everything I said about the same one, except now it is slightly shinier, slightly dewier. And overall, much prefer a dewy blush, something slightly more luminous. This one I also find it's not as dry. It is like already creamier in the pan. Overall, very much prefer something that has a little bit of a sheen to it. The ones that were lower on the list earlier were just like way too much. See, like this, it's shiny, it's sheeny, but it's not overwhelming. It's not blinding. It doesn't look like a highlighter. And my thoughts are like literally the exact same on the e.l.f. Putty Blush is this one. Very beautiful formula, looks amazing on the skin, wears fantastically, but does wear off a little bit quicker in the day than I would prefer. And I have 2 shades. So I have, oh, it's better, St. Bart's and Please Shiny Orange and like a shinier kind of purpley shade. Gorgeous. Now we're at number 4, and it is the ColourPop Pressed Powder Blushes. Okay, so the next ones we have are the pressed powder blushes from ColourPop, and I think these are very beautiful. I feel like I'm trying to think of a good way to describe the formula, and like the first thing that comes to mind is like butter or like velvet. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but these are like the smoothest cream blush or powder blushes ever. Like so intensely smooth. They apply so ridiculously beautifully to the face and just leave, again, this most like beautiful velvet matte finish ever. Like it looks stunning on the cheeks, and I find every time I wear these just so intensely beautiful. I have 4 shades. So flamingo, very, very light pink, kind of that baby pink shade that was really, really popular last year. And just, again, so beautiful. 2 nudes. So Message Me is a little darker, and Good Energy, again, kind of a nude matte. I feel like this one's like slightly too dark for me, but that's fine. And then Sassy Pants, which is more of a mauve, which again, I really, really like. Mauves are like, I love pinks and mauves, and like those are shades that I wear all the time. So yeah, that's just like genuinely one of the only matte blushes that I get really excited for. I typically go cream or liquid, and you'll see that from my top 3. But yeah, gorgeous. ColourPop is really, really good with their blushes, and we're gonna see that again because number 3 we have their liquid blush, and I have a few shades of this, and I just think it is a beautiful, blendable, smooth, like lightly pigmented but workable. And I mean, some of the shades are more pigmented than others, but very, very natural looking blush. And I love a liquid blush. I think that they can be, honestly, like, they're easily my favorite things to wear. I think that they always look so, so natural on the skin. I mean, if you have a good formula, it just sinks into the skin beautifully and looks like you're not wearing anything. And this is a fantastic formula. Yeah, just really, really beautiful. I do wish I think I need to get a few more shades because my range of the liquid ones isn't all the shades that I would necessarily want to wear, because I do find this one's way too dark for me. This is like, it's a fun pink, but it's not one that I'll wear super, super often. And then these are fun too, but like, I don't know, I just want more. And okay, so that's number 3. And now we're gonna get into number 2, which is close to the exact same thing, but this is their new liquid blush with pearl in it. So it's basically just the liquid blush, but has a bit of a luminosity to it. It has a radiant finish and just looks, again, very, very radiant and luminous on the skin. So everything I love about the liquid blush, again, everything about the formula is the same, except it has a sheen to it. I love a glowy blush. I genuinely think that a glowy blush is one of those things that, like, if you are having a bad day where you look terrible, it can elevate everything. It makes you look fantastic. It really, really can change your entire makeup look and just make you look so, so much better. So these are amazing. This is this shade City Walk. I'll just quickly swatch it out. So yeah, you can see how shiny this one is. And even if it's like that, like, I don't find it looking metallic on the skin like my issue with a lot of the other ones. I think it just looks luminous, and it dries down a little bit, so this isn't necessarily the finish that you get on your cheeks again, and you can blend it out pretty well too, but just so, so beautiful. Something that just, like, it looks stunning. Every single time I've used it, I am amazed at how beautiful it looks. And like, those are only the top place 3 and 2, so we have one that's even better now. So number 1 spot, we have the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush. Very similar formula to ColourPop, but I do slightly prefer that. And it's one that I'm trying to think of I don't know if I can necessarily quantify why I prefer this one. I don't think there's any like rational reason. I don't think I can tell you why, but I like this formula a bit more. I think it's like slightly more lightweight, but again, like, I can't really quantify why I prefer this one, but I love this formula. So this is the shade Cheeky Lychee. I'll just quickly swatch it. It's stunning. It's amazing. It's just such a beautiful liquid blush, and I definitely want some more shades of it because I just think this formula is fantastic. Every time I wear it again, I'm blown away. Like this shade to Bold Face Lilac, so interesting. I guess I'm just showing you all my shades. Copper Etiquette is a little more orangey, and then Dusty Rose. It's like a very nice everyday. Love this formula. Like, genuinely probably one of my favorite blush formulas to wear. And yeah, I can't really tell you why I love this one so much more than the ColourPop, but I don't know, let's just say it's the vibe. I feel like I go for that when I talk about books a lot too. I'm like, I can't tell you why it's 5-star. The vibe was just there. But yeah, these are amazing. I think that these are like the best blushes you can get at the drugstore, and I think they might be like one of the cheaper options too, which, go e.l.f. They're fantastic. So thanks for watching today's video. That was very quickly just 15 different blush formulas ranked and what I thought of all of them. So I'm really curious to hear what your favorite blush from the drugstore is, and also if there's any that you think I should give a try, because I mean, like, I want to try so many more. I was thinking today, even like, I've never tried a blush from NYX, and I would really, really love to do that. So yeah, let me know down below if you have any recommendations, any I should check out, and what you love. And thanks for watching. Would love if you would consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in a video very, very soon.